What's up YouTube? Eugene here. Hope you're all well. Back again from just outside of Toronto on this overcast, chilly, balmy day, which is, it's okay. I don't mind. It's a perfect perfume wearing weather. It's about 19, so you're pretty much optional for anything. You can wear anything in this weather and it all fly. But just like I promised, back with L'instant de Guerlain Eau de Toilette. This is the Pour Homme, and not the Lidge. This is also Lidge, but not the Lidge. This is Lidge without the E, just like Eugene without the E. Got it? Good. So this is a 2005 release, Sylvain Delacourt, the perfumer. Patrice Piquet, I think her name is, Stephanie Piquet. Rest in peace. God bless her soul. She's no longer with us. I know Sylvain talked really highly about her. She spoke highly about her the time when I met Sylvain. And at that time, this was just after, when this was released, it was just after the Jean-Paul Guerlain era. I'm not sure if he had stepped down or had stayed on as an advisor. He wasn't quite yet fired. He was fired for, we all know why he was fired, but he was still with the brand. So they didn't have a perfumer. Vassar wasn't, I don't think Vassar was ready to go yet. He was under the tutelage of Jean-Paul Guerlain. So Sylvain Delacourt took it upon herself to work with, I think it's Patrice Piquet, and to come up with this. And they were working with a number of perfumers at that time. It was just under the ownership of Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, where they wanted to bring in more brand recognition. So Sylvain, she was the one responsible for starting the arts and material line with Spiritus Double Vanille, Cuir Beluga, Rose Barbar, Angelique Noir, and all of those big vanilla perfumes, right? And she worked with Olivier Polge, Annick Minardo, Francis Courdian. I'm sure there was a few others, right? So Vassar wasn't ready to go, and which is fine. I know they had a great relationship too, because, you know, speaking to both of them, they always had nice things to say about the other. And I remember Vassar once said, like, when it comes to the more dainty, easy, flowy perfumes like Cuir Beluga, or it was Cuir Beluga she really liked, or Rose Barbar, you know, they would leave that sort of stuff to Sylvain Delacourt to direct. She wasn't quite a perfumer, even though she did leave to start her own brand. And she was the brand ambassador that followed up on Roja Dove. Roja was there before Sylvain Delacourt. And it was when Roja left to start his own brand that Delacourt was brought on to take after him. And she was the one that outed him, saying he isn't a qualified, certified perfumer. But if anyone would know, she would know, because, you know, spending many years under the same roof as Roja. But, or, I don't know if they spent many years under the same roof, but maybe it's just like things that have been told and have been passed along. But anyway, so I think this was the first release right after Jean-Paul Guerlain's Héritage for men, and quite different. You know, this is very unique. I find this very unique, even though it's built off of very simple formula, because ultimately this is, I mean, this is a lot of things, right? But when I break this down, this is patchouli, this is lavender, patchouli, and an amber perfume, right? But on top of that, it's like mixed with or stacked with garnishments. So I get, and that's not a very uncommon accord there. Lavender, patchouli, and amber. You can probably think of a dozen things that have that, but where this stands out is in the shapes and the colors and the textures and the contrasts. They all have very beautiful contrasts, even though it's a simple perfume. So it's got a lot of warm notes, it's got a lot of cold notes, it's got a lot of round notes, and it's got a lot of sharp and jagged notes. So you have that lavender, that kind of soapy, dry English. It feels like an English lavender. You have the patchouli, which is scratchy. It is rough and textured. This was one of my first loves of patchouli. You know, when I truly discovered, I think it was this that said, this is what a patchouli should be. Dark, scratchy, abrasive, earthy, warm. And then it's got that amber, which isn't too ambery. It isn't overpoweringly like vanillish. This does not have your typical Guerlain vanillas, your tonkas, your benzoins and stuff like that. Even though I do get like radiant amber, you know, it's a nice amber. So you have, that's kind of your core, is lavender, patchouli, amber, and then you got these garnishments of it opens up really milky. I love this milky accord. It's like lapsang tea milkiness, or a jasmine tea. That's the floral accord in here, is mostly jasmine, but the top is so spiky and sharp and sort of abrasive, but also it reflects a lot of light. I get a lot of light aspects to this perfumes and materials that reflect light, like the citrus accords. It's bergamot and grapefruit, and citrus to me always reflects light. It's like holding a piece of, like if you have a full-on citrus, flesh of citrus, and you shine it at, you know, the sun or a light, you would get a reflection back. So I always get that reflection of light. But the biggest reflection, and one of the things that really stand out to me in this perfume, is the spicy anise, the aniseed, the licorice. It's not quite licoricey, but it has that smoothness. It has that freshness. You know, it has almost like that biting spiciness, right? And I think that it's the combination of the anise and the cacao, you know, the spiciness of the cacao. It's almost got this cinnamon spiciness. It has this chocolate powderiness. It's sharp, it's rich, it's deep. And it's that combination of anise and cacao that really stand out in this perfume, or make it stand out. It's very spicy, and it's got a lot of sharp notes. And it's also got a lot of warm, round notes to contrast those all out. But yeah, it's got this really nice milky accord. And I feel like it's like this milky tea working in unison with the sandalwood in the base. And it just kind of, they work together, they play together to create this really round, warm, milky tea accord. And then you have, you know, you have your spices. It's quite peppery. And in the top, I see a lot of points. I see a lot of triangular points, or rectangles, or jagged pieces. You know, it feels like it's jagged and it doesn't fit all together perfectly, like a Rubik's cube. Or there's a lot of empty spaces in here, and those spaces is what makes me feel like this is not one of Guerlain's richest, deepest perfumes. Like when I wear something like Chalimard or Mitsuko or I don't know, Vol de Nuit, it's like these perfumes, it doesn't matter how deep I look into them, they are richer than the eye can see. It's like I cannot see past the horizon, you know, they're just never ending. But when I wear this, I do find the end point to this perfume, and the end point is the musk. This to me is a musk perfume more than anything else. More than it would be an amber oriental, more than it would be a fougere, more than it would be a chypre, or it's a musk, a woody, slightly floral musk. I wouldn't call this floral by any means. You know, I get the jasmine, and there's something, you know, the jasmine only has kind of like this milkiness that pops up every once in a while, right? But I wouldn't call it a floral. I would call it a woody musk because of the spices and the woods, the patchouli, the sandalwood. the cacao. They're all woody textures, woody notes, but it's the musk. Once you get past the musk, it feels like you've come to the end of the richness, you've come to the end of the depth, and you've come to the end of the point. And that's not a bad thing, it's just what it is. So this is a fragrance that is sitting in this, it feels like this cocoon of musk, right? And it reveals itself to you in ways that is dependent on your skin chemistry and your body temperature. So the warmer you get, the more it reveals itself. This isn't one of those perfumes that I can smell with every single breath. There are many, many, many perfumes I can smell with every single breath I take. This is not one of those. This is, because it is a musk dominant perfume, it plays peekaboo, it plays hide and seek, it comes and goes, and the more you warm up, the more you reveal itself. There are times where I'm hit with just anise. It's a majority of the time it's just anise and its seed that I can pick up, and I love that aspect. But the more I warm up, the more the warmth shows up, like the ambery notes, like the cacao, the sweetness of the cacao, the richness of the cacao, right? The patchouli. But if I'm not warm, if I'm not active, it's more of the colder notes, maybe the citruses, the anise, and the milkiness. But it's really the musks, right? The musk almost acts like an ISO in this compound, that it really sinks itself into your skin, and with any sort of body movement, it just jumps, right? And in the way that it jumps, it's able to pick up those heavier, warmer notes and allow them to reveal themselves. So yeah, it is quite masculine. To me, it's very masculine because of the shapes and the textures, because of the notes. You know, lavender, that combination to me is very masculine. But I think it's the shapes, the sharpness that makes this masculine as anything else. It's the spiciness. It's very spicy and very peppery. The citrus. Somebody called it Rudy called it a lemon cookie, and I can see that. Yeah, that is like one aspect of it, but there's like the other aspects. There's the milkiness, that jasmine milky tea. There's the patchouli, the earthiness, the sharpness, the scratchiness. That to me adds texture, almost like a wool jacket, a men's wool sports coat or jacket or something. That's the kind of texture that the patch has. The amber, slightly golden, not really powdery, but yeah, it's a perfume that slowly reveals itself in the moments, just like the name implies. L'instant de Guerlain. In the moment with Guerlain, or a moment with Guerlain, or just a moment. And depending on what you're doing in that moment is what will reveal itself to you. And I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of this perfume. A very big fan. I've always been a fan of, well, look at these damn fingerprints, of L'instant de Guerlain. Let's put a little bit more on. Yeah, so there's moments, actually there's periods where this will go completely dry and I won't be able to perceive anything, and they go longer than I like. You know, I'd like to see more performance of this, or for this. I'd like it for it to be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more present, because I enjoy it so much. But that's the magic of this perfume.